Hello everybody, this is my part of the presentation for our group project. This is titled Collaboration in Childcare, and I use the implementation science process. So the initial concern was that a childcare called and made a referral to CDS about a specific child who was being extremely aggressive in the classroom towards peers and sometimes also towards adults. So to start the exploration stage, I did several observations of the classroom environment, observations of the staff interactions with each other and with the children. I met with the program director and met with the program staff and also met with the parents of this specific child. The next part to the exploration phase was discussing and observing the child's behavior prior to an incident and right after an incident, and also the adult's behavior prior to an incident and right after the incident. Something I did observe many times was the lack of routine, and the child would just be playing and all of a sudden hit or bite and immediately would get that one-on-one attention from a teacher and end up always getting Play-Doh in the end. So talk about reinforcing some negative behavior. The next portion of the exploration phase was to gather all the available resources that we had at that time. The childcare had some training resources already in place. We discussed other resources in the area like Main Roads to Quality and things of that nature. We also discussed the education level of the staff. Several of them had certificates in early childhood or associates, no special education training, and I guess they were doing web trainings, but that doesn't really give you that hands-on approach or that collaboration during a class. We talked about some peer coaching, maybe the director also doing some coaching with the teachers, and also modeling specific interventions. We had some discussion about the interventions with the staff. They were quite hesitant about us implementing anything in the classroom. They wanted me to really pull this child out to do any interventions. So we discussed that the team would be involved in helping to write this plan because it's part of your daily routine. We're not trying to have them stop and implement something and exclude all the other children. We want this to be a group activity where everybody's involved and get everybody moving in the right direction. To implement and sustain this plan, this child was, in my mind, going to be eligible. So I thought the PSP, the primary service provider, which is the person that does the intervention for CDS and Part C services, would be at the center on at least a weekly basis so they could keep an eye on things and they would be a part of this plan so that they would know what needs to happen. The childcare director had volunteered to oversee the childcare staff. I was part of this plan and I was going to have monthly phone conferences with the director, and she also calls me as she needs to. So for the installation of this, I went in and modeled circle time, which is not something that they had already in place, and I found that the teachers were terrified of leading circle time, so showed them some very quick, easy circle time activities. Circle time at that age, I mean toddlers, 5 minutes at the max. So some quick transition songs to get the kids over to circle time, greeting each other with a name song, and then dismissing to get their coats to go outside. Also worked on a visual schedule with them, nice big schedule going across the room so that they knew what was going to happen next, and talking about how the teacher can stop and say, okay, everybody, this is going to happen next, and point at that picture so everybody knew what was going to happen. Also, we worked on transition songs. There was no singing going on in this toddler classroom, and the kids were kind of shuffled along to go from one activity to the next. We also discussed and implemented we were going to implement the behavior support plan for this little guy. And again, it was something that everyone could be involved in. It wasn't something where they had to stop their plans and pay attention to this one child. They had the whole group involved. The childcare director, again, agreed to support the staff and oversee that plan. So the initial implementation of this plan, I was asked to come and oversee the implementation several times. The childcare director expressed a need for more training and modeling to support the planning was done with myself. I did a lot more modeling. Several things arose in different situations where he went from biting to hitting to pulling hair and things like that, and it was just having that consistency no matter what the issue was, making sure that you stuck to the same game plan and that every adult was doing the exact same thing. So for full implementation, all the plans and supports are currently in place and seem to be running pretty smoothly now. The teachers have reported they're noticing positive changes in the classroom dynamic, and they are accepting the new way of running the classroom. They said it runs a lot more smooth, and the kids know what's going to happen. They go right to the area they're supposed to go to. They don't have to try to corral the kids to get them to where they need to go. And the incidents of aggression have gone way down to the point where there's almost none during the day. And it was every few minutes prior to this. This child knows what's going to happen next. He gets it. He's moving right along. And then CDS is working with a program to provide some more ongoing training. Our program manager and I have discussed training options that CDS could offer them and finding more resources within the area. So some really awesome things that came out of this were that CDS and this program have not had a good relationship in the past due to other incidences with children. But now we have a really good relationship, some nice open communication, and that has worked out well. And the other thing is that the childcare teachers are taking the initiative to call CDS for support, which is really nice. So if they have a question, they know they can just call. We're going to give them an answer and move forward from there. Thanks, guys.